Hey there, my name is Jet. I'm a second year student at UBC. Before where I'm at today, it was between university or the military. And lucky enough, I got in. Otherwise, I'd be 4,000 feet in the air right now. But once I was in, I realized I wasn't going to waste this opportunity. So I threw myself at everything university had to offer. And that's where I got my real glimpse into finance. The starter capital markets competition. My team somehow qualified for the semifinals, and we had a 6 hour M&A case. I didn't even know what M&A case was. So although I struggled, I also realized how genuinely interesting capital markets was. So I kept going. The momentum snowballed. I won a stock pitch, joined the investment club. But I also realized I had a big dream. So I decided to transfer to UBC and start from zero again. Change was scary, but if I was going to take a risk, I was going to bet on myself. So today, I'm a private equity analyst at a search fund called Alpine Vista Capital. I'm prepping for the UCC competition in Houston while finishing two financial modeling certifications. And what drew me to capital markets is the same thing that drew me to military: competitiveness. Being surrounded by people who want to be the best at what they do, that is what gets me up in the morning. So, looking at prediction markets, is it more similar to financial or gambling markets? But before we begin, I think it's important to define both markets first. A financial market is like a capital formation or risk transfer. Your company funds a real company, and the activity creates real cash flows. Gambling market is wagering on the outcome of an event, and the underlying company doesn't actually lead to any value add. So, which does the prediction market resemble more? I'd argue gambling. Take Cauchy's slogan, the rule number three: the house doesn't win. That doesn't just mean they take a cut like financial brokers, but notice they chose the word house, which is a casino language, and that points to my main argument. Prediction markets doesn't intrinsically create any value. It's a news headline or a article. The two sides bid yes or no on whether it happens. In the end, it's a game of who can guess correctly or who has the better qualitative information to make the better guess. The money put in doesn't generate anything tangible. No capital is formed. It just gets redistributed. One person wins the money, one person loses it, and the house skims a percentage, and that is zero sum or negative sum structure. Thus, predictive prediction markets are closer to gambling markets. So there are benefits and dangers with both. One benefit with prediction markets is that they provide genuine information. Although it's not tangible contributions to society, there is still a value add of sort because the people making these predictions are not just random people in the public. They're a self-selected group willing to put in their own money and dip their feet into the water. And that prediction makes it more credible and more accurate because they have something to lose. So although nothing's being value added, the information itself is the value add. It turns informed people belief into accurate public probability. And the danger, as the article mentions, is the endogenuity. I think it already talked about it. If I put $5 million on event X, then I cause event X myself, it stops being a prediction. It becomes a payout. And even if I get arrested, I might still profit. And that winning outweighs the penalty. The law no longer becomes a deterrent. Or someone might not even realize the consequences. And this leads to a world where it's more predictable and more unpredictable in a sense. Kind of like a paradox. Like the predictable sense is because prices can forecast events through this market. So we're basically predicting news headlines, which is a benefit. But the unpredictable is the market is manufacturing these events that would have never happened otherwise. And these prediction markets, Cauchy, Poly market, are built to predict realities, are now leading outcomes that would have never occurred. And that volatility only exists because these markets exist. So the key takeaway for the danger is simple. Prediction markets reward you for causing these low probability events, which means they pay people to make the world have outcomes that would not have happened happen. And that would in turn make the world more dangerous in a sense. So where should these regulators draw the line? I think regulators should draw the line at the point where bettors can change the outcome, especially where changing it would require harmful or illegal action. A good way I think about it is sports. A basketball player isn't allowed to bet on their own game because they control the outcome. An event contract turns any better into that player. If a contract lets you affect the results, you've basically become the athlete betting on his own match. And once you give someone that financial incentive to change the outcome, you create a reason for them to do something they would have never done otherwise. Honestly, the frontline regulator is the prediction market itself. They shouldn't be listing contracts that incentivize any of this. So anything tied to war, terrorism, any of that. An example is that Polymarket currently lists Keir Starmer out of office by June 30th. That's a dangerous listing because it could influence what someone might do to him or his family. On the flip side, things like elections, weathers, bettors can't realistically move that themselves. So these contracts actually deliver the information benefit I outlined earlier. I think Kaushi does a great job, but there in the end, the key takeaway is there's no perfect line. It will keep shifting as the markets evolve. But for now, I think the perfect place to draw a line is where the betters can cause the outcome. So anything above that, you should not allow on the prediction market. To keep the last question short, what I disagreed with is how the article is exaggerating or treating this danger or problem. It existed for a long time. I think I actually got this from AI after analyzing everything. But life insurance existed for like decades, and like it just clicked to me. I realized that like life insurance offered incentive for someone to do something that they have never done originally, and this is in turn the same thing. So unless the financial benefit meets the consequences, no one's gonna do this. So the danger is not as outrageous as it outlined,